Welcome, beloved friends. So welcome. And everybody around the world, a warm welcome to you too. I want to just check if you hear me well around the world, just if you can give a little feedback whether that microphone actually works now or not. Melly and I, we are coming from an incredible journey with couples. The whole last week with this incredible rain and storm, and it's a bit soft. Oh, it should not be soft, it should actually be loud. Let me try this, if there's any miss. Can you hear that tapping? Maybe like this, because it was hiding behind the fold. Is that better? Hello, hello? Is that better? Good. Okay. Yeah. So we had the Art of Love and Intimacy for couples, and we're kind of still floating in, actually not so much floating, but being deeply, deeply touched by the level of presence and consciousness. I think I never had a course, even though we run this course since more than 20 years, of such maturity and presence. And for me, it's been kind of such a gift to see that there is an evolution of consciousness. Whether the world looks like it goes further down the drain or not, there is a level of understanding, and I would say a level of awakening that happened in such a easy and natural way, and yet so profound. So I still feel incredibly grateful for this possibility. And of course, at the end we had a feedback round and people wrote something, and we recorded a little bit of testimonials. And the main feedback was this: every couple should do this at least once a year. Because in a way, for me, a couple, man and woman, are the base of society. If there's love and peace and mutual respect and presence, rather than egoic games which are happening in pretty much most relationships, when the ego kind of, or the personality structure kind of goes into the background and our true nature comes to the foreground, that infinite spaciousness of consciousness, that which is aware of every experience rather than the identification with experience, then what a world. So it felt like we were on this different planet. It was raining like crazy. We couldn't go anywhere, and we didn't want to go anywhere. We were just held in this cocoon, and either in the course room or the couples in their room. And it was like when you marinate a chicken, or for the vegetarians, what can you marinate? Tofu. When you marinate tofu, Sorry, not a chicken. And you don't really notice what's happening, but more and more grace keeps flowing, and the faces are lighting up, and we had some situations at the beginning where this was the last resort for a couple, and everything shifted completely into I call it into awakening, because it had not much to do anymore with sex. The sexual energy is the only energy we have, but the amazing happening, that movement that Osho talked about so many times, that it's not about sex, but sex is the base. If you deny sex, if you distort sex, if you make a mind fuck out of it rather than allow the energy to move, then of course you stay stuck. But when you allow the energy to move, then there's a natural movement from sex to love. And I'm sure here quite a few people have, in one way or the other, experienced that. And then from love to, Osho called it prayer. I would call it devotion, because prayer is so loaded with religious ideas. But the devotion to truth and presence. Now, can you imagine a couple where both are not kind of at the feet of the relationship, which doesn't work, but are at the feet of love and presence? And the commitment to that being supported in partnership is an incredible possibility. Now, of course, one hopes that the elevated state of consciousness stays, or at least the remembering stays, so that when grace opens again, we can recognize, oh, of course, this is it. Where else to go? Nowhere else to go. Right here is the lotus paradise. And then existence, for this course was incredible, generous, because on the second last day, also for you here, suddenly the clouds opened, and we went very early for the sunrise to the beach, and it was all misty and mysterious, and then the sun comes, and we went to this tea tree lake and had some beautiful rituals there. And it felt so eternal, really. So in a way, it felt like we were there for a few months, and in another way, we were there for not even a day. So time disappears. As you can hear, I'm still full of it, and I really wish that more couples have that opportunity, because it's really, we want to call it love, a partnership in meditation, and the whole direction, which is for all of us really, is to become more and more aware of your identifications. What do I mean with identifications? We derive a sense of self from so many aspects of our life that keep changing. Funny enough, for me, the whole thing started with a real test and ended with a real test. the evening before we went to the course, our water pump stopped, and then we cannot shower, we cannot have water, nothing worked. And we were about to leave. Come in. Welcome, Rahasya.
Almost.
No? So we prepared everything in the evening. Then no water, no? And my son also no water. So we needed to trust that he will manage, and he managed. He needed to dismantle the pump and so on. But it took a while, and it's of course a challenge for those of you who have a house. You know, there's always something. And then on the last day, yesterday, was that yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. My son was supposed to bring us my car with a tow bar, because we had a huge trailer with stuff that we needed to take. And in the evening, just before, he calls us and says, "I'm so sorry, I put the car in the ditch and it doesn't work anymore." Or only half. and so it seems, these worldly challenges are wonderful situations where you can test your own identification and how much you get pissed off or frustrated, or how much you just see that existence tests you. And our angel Rahasya jumped in and helped us with his truck, so it all went very well. And I think, these teachings of existence are always there, and the beauty is these testing moments, and the testing moments perhaps even in relationship when your partner pushes your buttons and you're about to move into an old reaction rather than in a fresh response, and you catch it and you don't act out your personality, but listen to what is spontaneously true. This is possible all the time. And Melly read me an incredible piece from the Tantra, the Supreme Understanding, this morning, where Osho talked about it, that we can get identified with anything. And many of his disciples are identified with meditation. Same trip, same personality. I'm a meditator, which means, and you're not, so I'm better. or whatever we do with our spiritual achievements. And ultimately it's allowing the disidentification, which means allowing yourself to die again and again and again. Because the only thing that can die is our person, is our mind, is our personality with all these wonderful layers that appear as we are in a body. And as the last week showed again, the most graceful way to die is through love. There's many other ways to die, but love kills you very gently. And the experience of disappearing is actually no experience anymore. So the mind has nothing to do there. And when that inner surrender happens, there is just presence, timeless, beginningless, endless. And the discovery that within presence is hidden love, devotion, peace, silence, gratitude. All these things that we were told as children, or probably later also, you should be this. If our parents would be a little bit more awake, they would tell us, you are this. So somehow I feel to dedicate this satsang tonight to disidentification. And from the esoteric science's point of view, identification is here, is in the third eye. It is our projection onto things. It's our labeling onto things. It is our identity that attaches to things that change. And that's why most people are afraid. And now, of course, with COVID, the fear is everywhere. Except in the Byron Shire. You know, it's funny here. We are kind of like, we went to the beach today and felt nobody even thinks of COVID. And of course it can happen, it can change any moment again, but in the moment it's incredible. And then we get reports from, big cities that are really dead, from Europe and America and everywhere. And life has come to a standstill and a lot of suffering is happening. But perhaps that very situation pushes many people into awakening. Probably it pushes other people into more panic and suffering, but it pushes many people into our true nature, because there's nothing to hold on to. There's nothing to feel secure about. First, we don't feel secure about COVID. Now, many people don't feel secure about the vaccination. And then there's so much lies and misleading information, and everybody is more insecure. And if you try to make a self out of what your mind believes to be true, you're in deep trouble, because it keeps changing. So all these situations are really there to wake up, to question, is this thought that I have about anything, is that true? Byron Katie has a point there in her work, but if we don't just let it be a mental work, but a deep, deep inquiry, you will find that no thought, except of course the practical thoughts, how to put in a screw with a screwdriver. That's a practical thing, that's no problem. But the thinking mind, the mind that keeps telling ourselves a story, is that story true? And the beauty is when we find it's not true, it doesn't mean you have to reject the story. You just see it for what it is. And you directly know that that's not you. You directly know that you must be that which is aware of the story. Otherwise you couldn't even see it. And when that realization trickles into all the different experiences, how does identification work? It works with an attachment of our psyche to something and makes us believe that this is me. And how much energy have we put in our life to create an identity? Yeah. Anybody did that? Or is it only me? I wanted to be something, I wanted to help people, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be recognized, I wanted to be a therapist, I wanted to be so many things, a ski teacher and a sailor and a sportsman. I wanted to be, hoping that once I can identify with my role, then I will be happy. And the ultimate illusion is, of course, the ultimate goal. If you want to be the President of the United States, then you're in a mess. Or the Prime Minister of Australia. Yeah. But it's basically, that ladder climbing endlessly. And the problem is once you reach the top, then you look stupid because there's nowhere to go from there except down. But also, it's no need to judge this. It's just something to be aware of, and eventually to recognize so simply that I cannot be anything that I'm aware of. Now we heard that 10,000 times, didn't we? But perhaps one day, or maybe just now, it hits the truth in us. So true. So then all that is left is nobodiness, or presence, or awareness, or however you call it. This field that is not personal anymore. Now watch when I say this, how your person perhaps from inside says, wait a minute, how can I be not a person? Check it. How can I be unidentified without making a new identification in the belief I should not be identified? It's another story. So that was an introduction to a pomanda that we're going to use tonight. Does it make any sense what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. Yes? It does? No. No sense at all. No sense at all. Good. Good. Baba. Very good. It doesn't make sense at all. Of course not for the mind. It makes a lot of sense for that which is aware, doesn't it? So the pomanda is the royal blue pomanda. It is connected to the third eye. It's like the infinite blue sky. you know. Try to define the sky. We define it through the color blue, but even that is an illusion. It's just an appearance through the atmosphere. If you take a space shuttle into outer space, there is no blue sky. It's all black or lit. Any object that appears in the blackness is lit by the sun. Now, I like that analogy. If our being is total blackness, and then you become aware of a story, then that story lights up, and our whole attention goes to the story rather than staying with the blackness. But does the blackness go anywhere? No. Whatever appears and shines very strongly is a phenomenon that comes and goes. You know, and when you're in space, you see space shuttles, or you see the moon, or Mars, or many different things floating around, and thousands of pieces of garbage of old satellites. But the space in which they fly is unconcerned. It's always there. Let's try this. It's also kind of a vibrational thing, that when we lift the vibration out of our survival. What is survival? Every stress is survival. Is anybody stressed sometimes? Yeah. Then, do you notice that we completely lose consciousness? Just before, the room was a mess, and I really wanted that room to be cleaned up, so I really was stressing with all these boxes here. And Melly came down and said, "What did you say, Rahasya? You look stressed."
Never seen that before.
Because I wanted a goal. My identification was a beautiful group room where you guys are welcome, and it was a total mess. And I could see it, but I needed to tell her, no, I'm fine. I just have to do everything. Yeah, we all know this, no? But the beauty in this, it doesn't need to change, but it can be seen, no? And then it doesn't stick. It doesn't create a person. For a moment, it creates a person. No? That's why it's good to have a mirror. So, if you could stand up and make your left palm available. And you're going to get 3 drops, and the friends online, you get 3 cyberspace drops of the blue sky onto your left palm. And when you receive it, rub it into your palms. Close your eyes. And tune into that possibility that your inner being is more like the sky and less like that which floats around in the sky. So as you hold the sky in your palms, just let your arms rise high above the head and let your palms face outward. Imagine you can send this royal blue ray all around the planet Earth, out of your left hand, around the earth, back into your right hand, reminding every being of the possibility of disidentification, so that they can recognize their true being as infinite space, beginningless and endless. And then you can hold your palms above the crown. Imagine you standing under a shower of royal blue light that can fall through your aura like gentle rain. And then as we wash the body with soap and water, with the pomanda we can clear and clean the auric field, the energy field around the head, moving through the temples, through the parietals, through the back of the head, through the frontal area. And then bringing your palms together above the crown, the symbolic gesture of oneness. And then moving close to your third eye. And here perhaps you want to just gently with your fingertips open the curtains of your projections, the curtains of your identifications, so that we can begin to see reality just as it is. It doesn't need the mind's interpretation. Then we will see from clarity. This is what is called choiceless awareness. And then clearing your face. And when you come to the throat, again, a curtain of all our beliefs. Let it be drawn to the side, to see and to feel and to recognize who you are beyond belief. And you will find an infinite creative force moving through the throat, moving into expression. And when we move into the throat, we move into this field of not knowing. Because all pure creation arises from not knowing as a spontaneous response to the now. And then we can clear the shoulders and arms. And then we can come to the outer layers of the heart. Now let the royal blue ray just slide open the curtain of all our shoulds, all these things that we should be, all these ideals, and their shadow, how we should not be. The whole notion of good and bad and right and wrong. Let that curtain open, and you will find the innocent heart. Now allow your hands to rest over your heart for a moment, absorbing the royal blue ray deep into the silence of the heart. And perhaps you can feel your heart respond to space, because love is also space. Compassion is also space. And more we discover that this space that we are can absorb any problem, any difficulty, any conflict, and any joy and any ecstasy. It can absorb good and bad, right and wrong, and remain as space. A deep breath, and we can move to the solar plexus. Here, the blue sky in your hands can help let go of all our armors, our protection shields, our power trips to keep our little ego intact, like comparison, competition, judgments, blame, inferiority, superiority, all these wonderful social games that we play to keep separate from each other. And behind that, touching your individuality, touching that which makes you so unique that there's no one like you in the whole universe. And that joy, that sunshine here. And then we can move to the second chakra, to the lower belly, and allowing the space to open all our emotional holdings, our emotional identifications, our emotional pain and hurts, as well as the biggest ecstasy. Feeling it all held in the open space of the inner sky. And then down to the first chakra, to the root center, and allowing the royal blue to kind of wash away all our beliefs around the body, all our identifications with the body. This is probably the strongest identification. And how many of us have trips around your body, not recognizing this incredible, wonderful, miraculously form that carries us for a while in this lifetime. And then along the legs, stroking the energy all the way down until you touch the ground. And this is a good moment to let go. To let go of everything that you believe, that you know, that you identify with, any story, just letting go, becoming completely, totally empty. Empty, empty, empty. And just wonder what remains, what is here always, as everything you thought you are is gone. Now, as you come up, allow this royal blue ray rise inside your body, through your feet, through your legs, all the way up, completing in an open gesture, and perhaps for a moment recognizing the inner sky and the outer sky are one. And then you can bring your palms close to your nostrils and taking 3 deep breaths of this fragrance into the temple of the body. good. And then we can sit. I want to dedicate the light of the candle today to disidentification. Whatever that means for you. And then a meditation. You can close your eyes, taking a few deep conscious breaths, breathing in deeply, and breathing out deeply. A few times, very deep breath. And just through the breath, noticing how we are more present here, because breath is just here. Now, we cannot breathe earlier or later, it's just now. Just this moment. And you will notice that we are observing, or we are aware of the breath. So the breath is the object that appears in awareness. The sensory experience of feeling the breath in the body, in the chest and belly perhaps moving, is the sensory experience of the breath. And closer, before the breath and before the feeling, I am. And any definition of this I am falls short, because I'm not this, I'm not that. I cannot be defined. The only temporary definition we give ourselves is through the content of our experience, or through the content of our thought, or through the content of our beliefs or feelings. And when we pay close and relaxed attention, we will always find that what we call I am is before the experience, prior to the experience, closer than the breath, closer than the heartbeat. Closer than any feeling or other sensory experience. Lao Tzu called it the Tao, and he immediately said the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. So that which is aware cannot be named. In language, we name it as I. Each time we say I feel. I think. I see. I hear. And with each time we say I, we miss the inquiry, the question, what is this that is before the breath, during the breath, after the breath? Before the feeling, during the feeling, after the feeling. And to take it to the maximum, before the body, during the body, and after the body. Somewhere in the Bible, Jesus was heard to say, I give you eternal life. That has been so misunderstood. And then everybody tries to live longer, not noticing that which we are has no beginning, no end, no dimension, no limits. The easiest areas in the body to remember this is the heart. But we could enter any chakra. Could enter the throat. We could enter the third eye. We could enter the third chakra, or the second, or the first. And we would find, deeper than all experiences, always the unspeakable. Always that which is aware of all experience. always that which is of love. Always that which is of peace, of silence, of presence. Rest here for a while, effortlessly resting, allowing whatever wants to come into the field of awareness, into the field of presence. Allow it to come, allow it to stay, allow it to leave. And you will know more and more what never comes and goes. We will sit in this for a while and allowing each out-breath to take you even deeper. feel this peace. Feel that it is emerging from within. We are not creating it, we are not manufacturing it. It is who we are. Feel that silence, that depth of being. We are not doing it. It arises from within. Perhaps there's a sense of joy. We are not creating it. It appears from these unknown sources within. For some of us it is labeled as love. We are not creating love or looking for love. It is unveiled as we naturally rest here now, as we don't go anywhere. That's why when we search for love, we don't find it. When we look for peace, we don't find it because we have believed it is an experience. Where in fact it is who we are. And from this depths inside, we can take a deeper breath. Gently becoming aware of the body again. Maybe moving a toe or a finger or a foot. Feeling as if you come back from the depths of the ocean to the surface. Taking a deep breath and bringing with you all these formless qualities of being until you feel ready to open your eyes to a completely new moment here. And just for a moment allow that space that you touched look through your eyes. Another deep breath and a good stretch back into the body. So let's open this. If there's anything you want to share or report or ask, and it's the same invitation for the friends around the world, you can write it in a note, and our dear friend Steve is here. He will translate it for us. And all is welcome, of course. You want to come here? Okay.
With the identification.
You know, I heard Osho so many times talk about no mind, and I misunderstood no mind as a thoughtless state. Thoughts. Impossible. Until it dawned to me that which is aware of mind and aware of thought and aware of all the noise and aware of grasping is who I truly am. And then it doesn't matter whether there is thought or no thought. Then it doesn't matter whether there's grasping or no grasping. Because you, and the name Rahasya points to that, you as Rahasya is that which can never be named. And yet we name it as I. Just because language, eventually we probably would need to just sit silently and communicate that in silence. I remember at the time in Pune, there was a time towards the end where Osho first was sitting with us in silence, and then he didn't come anymore, and it was just an empty chair. Just to point to the formless that can contain any form. So the danger, when I talk about identification, the mind immediately wants to disidentify. And then we identify with disidentification. That's just this wonderful play of form. And seeing it We have a smile. Who smiles? It is that which sees the wonderful lila of life in the body, life of a mind.
Thank you.
You know, that's the whole wisdom in Tantra also. Just to be loose and natural. Just to be that. We are already that. There's no effort. The body is alive. Is there an effort to be alive? Thoughts are moving. It's just simply the function of the mind to produce thoughts. The only difficulty is that our attention moves to the thought, and wherever our attention moves is where our energy flows, and then the thoughts appear to be reality. And then we put many thoughts together and create a story of me. And that me can never be satisfying because it's never enough. Do you have that? That on that level, the level of mind and identity, it's never enough. You're never good enough or bad enough. There's always something that keeps us in the mill of becoming, while being is resting at home. Becoming is waiting. You know, when we sit here after the silent meditation, some of us are just enjoying that sitting, wondering whether any question or any report comes. And some of us immediately go into search, or maybe it is relevant. And where is all this happening? Here. Now. In this eternity. I think the biggest puzzle for us, especially, you know, when you have been on the seeking path for so long, is that life happens whether you identify with the content of it or not. And when disidentification happens, and you really realize that nothing that you think is you, what a relief. What a liberation. So what is the true liberation? It is simply the liberation from the illusion of I, of the separate I, of a me that is a construct that comes and goes. While I am already resting at home. Is there any question from outer space? No. Can you follow what I'm saying here, friends online? Our Sangha here is very quiet and very still. So they're probably all Buddhas already. But what about you? Maybe you're also all Buddhas already. That's why no question comes. Maria, hi Maria.
She asked me to read this. When caught in the hot fire of I want. H-O-T-E-S. When caught in the hot fire of I want. Please share.
When we are caught in the hot fire of wanting.
Hot, H-O-T-E-S.
H-O-T-E-S.
Of I want.
I think probably how I...
It's a spelling mistake.
Maybe it's a spelling mistake.
I asked her to re-say, and she said just read it. So I didn't listen.
When caught in the hot fire of what I want.
Hottest.
Ah, the hottest.
When caught in the hottest fire of I want.
Well, who is aware of being caught in the hottest fire of what you want? In the hottest fire of awareness? Who is aware of that burning desire? Same thing. Can you be anything else than that which is aware? And yes, it appears like a hot fire for the identity, for the ego, for that construct of mind, of story. And it's not wrong, don't misunderstand me. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing horrible about being caught in wanting something. It only becomes unbearable when we derive a sense of self from it. Then the I is burning in the hot fire of desire. And you know, Maria, you're kind of okay. You live in Sweden, funny enough, but you're an you know. Is it Spanish or South American? You're a Latino, and Latino is drama, no? Latinos love drama. There's nothing wrong with that. That's one of the wonderful attributes. So your hot fire of what you want is kind of really like watching a fiery volcano erupting. How beautiful! Who is watching? And when you are the source of the drama, then it's even more juicy, because then you're not dependent on anybody else to create a drama. No?
She says it swallows the me and I give in.
It swallows the you and you give in. Fantastic. Be swallowed. Finish. No more Maria. And yet you need to stay there because you helped me for that online training for Sweden. So who is staying and who is going? I'm very happy that you get swallowed. Because when you are not there, then the help is not person-oriented. The support, which I feel very grateful for, is anyway, I feel that with you. It's not so personal. It's not a personal gratification. It is just that which wants to share some aspects of your own recognition for the benefit and the good of all. I think it's a very noble thing. It's very beautiful. No? And I tell you, it gets much easier when you get swallowed up, because then there's no one to interfere into that which wants to live through you, because it's already living through you. How can it not? But I like it. It sounds kind of really dramatic. Thank you.
She says she is thinking sex and food.
You're thanking sex and food. Yeah, we were thanking sex and food the whole last week. Very actively. No? But before the thanking, we went very much into it. I don't go into details about how we get into it, but the beauty is within the getting into it. Energy just wants to move, no? And normal unconscious energy moves down and out, so our attention is always out. No? Also with food, it's out. With the beloved, it's out. With our job, it's out. With society, it's out. Our energy is always out, and we wonder why there's nobody home or nobody present. So sex and food plus presence, plus allowing the experience of sex or of food to become a doorway inward, through watching, through allowing, through entering the experience, through being, like you say so beautifully, consumed. Then even sex and food can support you to disappear. And what remains is the fragrance, the beauty, the love, the consciousness, whatever you call the formless. That's all that remains, always. And yet when we turn the energy inside, when we turn the attention inside, we explored that very deeply, over the last week, because in relationship we so much go out. And instead of going out, going in and using any sensory experience that also beautiful lovemaking creates to enter. The first time I heard this was through Osho, of course, where he said, well, going in is going upwards, going out is going downwards. And going in, going upwards, the energy just refines. Sex becomes love. Love becomes devotion or prayer. Devotion becomes awakening. It's all one. All that's needed is a 180-degree turn to allow every experience to be absorbed within. This was also something that was totally blowing my mind, how these beautiful couples somehow also practically understood that any experience, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the trip and the no trip, the blob and the ecstasy, every experience can be absorbed in your being because you are space. So the good news is we don't need to fight anymore with any experience. We don't need to fight with a hurtful experience. We don't need to struggle with a disappointment. We don't need to kind of effort around being good and avoiding to be bad. It's all available to be absorbed in your being, and the heart is probably the easiest to do that, to allow that. There's this beautiful tantric meditation as senses get absorbed in the heart, reach the center of the lotus. What does that mean? If what we feel doesn't pull it out to the object that creates the feeling. And that's very tricky, especially when you're in love. You think the other, you make me feel. No, you don't make me feel. You are the situation in which a feeling can be met inside of me, a response. And as it is absorbed, the strange thing is it takes us home. The quality doesn't matter. Anger can take us home. Jealousy can take us home. Envy, guilt, shame, all that stuff that we work forever in psychological work. And I'm not saying it's useless. It's also beautiful because it helps you to see what is. But ultimately, as that possibility dawns on us that we don't need to reject anything in our human experience, and we can actually absorb everything, because the true me is as vast as the sky. So everything has space there. Then this miraculous transformation or alchemy happens. And the alchemy is not happening through the me doing it. It is more through opening to grace, opening to what is already. Which then, of course, becomes trust, which then becomes acceptance without effort. It becomes forgiveness without superiority. I forgive you. No, it becomes a space in which all is forgiven. Is that too much? Are you with me there? Yeah. It's incredible. No? And then that opens us, of course, to a dimension that the mind can even less conceive, which we could call the divine dimension. Until perhaps a moment comes where you see everything as a manifestation of the One. And that's where then prayer enters, and you just feel, my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. And how would it be, if our last breath comes and instead of struggling with losing the body, you say, yeah, thank you. The last and probably the most profound adventure. And of course we wish that for everyone, but also we wish that for ourselves. And we don't know if at the moment of death we are, at least I don't know if I am awake enough to receive it on that level. That's why meditation is so helpful. We meditate, and each time you disappear, you're gone, you realize, oh, it wasn't so bad. Yes.
She says, I see now the longing of the feminine burning identity, wanting to be held in space. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Now take a breath, Maria Paz, and see that you are already totally held in space. Totally. How can you not? You were born into it, and you die into it. And then all we can say is thank you. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you that I could experience losing myself, because otherwise I would never have found myself. Thank you, thank you. Just close your eyes for a moment. Our dear assistant and friend Jen, she found this amazing music that originally is from a devotee of Moji.
O Lord, this is your dream. So do what you will. Hide me inside you and forget what you have done.
Actually, it was another song. We try this one.
Let our lives be timeless gratitude and mighty joy. Let our heart be great peace and Holy Spirit. Let our name be. Amen.
Let our lives be timeless gratitude and mighty
O One and only. You are our sole refuge, light of our heart, the source of true love.
O One and only, you are our sole refuge, light of our heart, the source of true love. Let our name be Amen. Amen.
Yes. Amen. Thank you. Namaste. A little announcement. We have another can be absorbed, which is everything, and turning it into grace and gratitude and bliss and peace. So have a beautiful evening. Thank you for being here. There's a cup of tea outside. And yes, welcome back. Thank you. And thank you around the world. Thank you, Maria, and everybody else.